Yo guys, welcome back to some more Goldeneye 25, the upcoming Goldeneye remake being developed by Ben Kulkloff to commemorate Goldeneye 64's 25th birthday. So it's been some time since we got the gameplay demo of the silo level last year, and I wanted to give you guys a little update for two main reasons. Firstly, as a bit of a sneak peek into the other levels of the game, how they're looking, and just generally what the developer is up to, and secondly, to answer some of the questions you guys had about this game in the last video. Ever since I made that video, it's seen a lot of traffic, which really goes to show how interested people are in this remake, and since then, I've been following Ben closely on Twitter, where he's kind enough to share all kinds of interesting screenshots and tidbits from his development time with the game. So if you'd like to keep an eye on it for yourself, follow the project more closely, or even send him a question of your own, I'll leave his Twitter down below. So in the background, I'm sure a lot of you will recognize this level that has been scrolling by. It is of course Control, undoubtedly one of the more iconic levels from Goldeneye 64. So this is a little time lapse that Ben uploaded showing how he's been fleshing out this particular section of the level, and I think you'll agree it's looking pretty awesome. What's up on the big screen and the computer monitors looks way more in line with what you actually see in the movie now. So here we've got a little before and after of a small section of the caverns level, just to show you the difference in detail. Here he's having the jungle commandos stand in for the Janus Special Forces. And speaking of jungle, it'd be nice to see how some of the outdoor environments are going to look. So here are a few screenshots from jungle. Really nice dynamic lighting on this level. You can see how it completely changes things. I'll sort of weave in a few shots of the original levels to give you guys a little flashback of how things looked on the original N64 version. Next up, we've got surface, and as you can see, long gone is the 2D texture of trees that used to act as the boundary for the level, and I believe that has now been replaced by a chain link fence to keep the level structure the same as it was in the original, but obviously you can have trees and foliage and things beyond that to give the level a bit more depth. Right, so moving on, we've got a few very short video demonstrations. So this beast here is obviously the DD-44 Dostove, and as you'll notice, it still has the original firing sound, which apparently was actually the sound of a small explosion. Next up is a demo of the auto-aim system in effect. A lot of people pointed out in the last video that the aiming of the guns didn't seem like the Goldeneye of 1997, that was simply because in the silo demo it hadn't been implemented yet. So there you go, there's your auto-aim. And if you're wondering, will I be able to play this with an N64 controller, the answer is yes. So this is how the security cameras will work in the game. If you stay in their field of vision for too long, they set off an alarm with that very iconic alarm sound that everybody loves and hates in equal measure. And oh yes, there we go, ladies and gentlemen, the watch. Apparently it took the developer a lot of hours to create this animation, and let's face it, he could have just taken the easy route and gone with a regular pause menu that just blurs out the background or something, but I really commend him for going the extra mile to implement this. It's just such an iconic piece of Goldeneye, I think. Something you don't really see in games these days. Here we have the remote mines that look just like the ones from the movie. Apparently he's also working on a proper throwing animation for when you stick these things on walls. And similarly, the timed mine looks just as badass with the illuminated countdown dial. Here we have a few shots of some of the weapons. We haven't seen too many renders of weapons yet, but this is the jungle shotgun from the caverns level. Here is the club, and lastly we have not just the Cougar Magnum, but also the golden Cougar Magnum, something that Ben decided to put into the game himself just because, I mean, why wouldn't you want a golden Magnum, right? There was a golden PP7 in the original via the cheat menu, but not a golden Cougar Magnum. Speaking of cheats, this was another commonly asked question in my previous video, and yes, there will be a cheat menu, and here is a little example of how paintball mode will look for you. Last but not least, we've got a screenshot of Dam and Cradle respectively, ironically the first and last levels of the game, but also two of the levels we've seen the least from so far. So let's address some of the issues a lot of my viewers had in the last video. Number 1. Many people commented on the hand positioning being somewhat off, because in the original you couldn't see Bond's wrist, and as you'll have noticed in the newer screenshots, that has now been changed. So as with a great deal many other things in that demo, they were simply placeholder. A lot of them were not final. The developer has been changing things here and there. A lot of people got riled up about the fact that the hand positioning was not like the original, but now you can see that it is. Number 2, the game's already been remade, hasn't it? Why not just play those? So if you're looking for a way to play GoldenEye online on PC, then GoldenEye Source is what you want. But that was a multiplayer only remake, and this game is going to be a single player remake. And for those interested, both Ben Kolkloff and Yannick Zenhausen, who is doing the music for the game, both worked on GoldenEye Source, and that project turned out great. Now, there was a reboot of GoldenEye created called GoldenEye 007 Reloaded, originally made for the Wii in 2010, which later came to the Xbox 360 and PS3 in 2011. But that was simply another reimagining of the film rather than an actual remake of GoldenEye 64. I mean, it even starred Daniel Craig instead of the Brosnan. A proper remaster of the game was slated to be released on the Xbox Live Arcade by Rare, but unfortunately that got shut down due to copyright disputes between them and Nintendo, and Microsoft are also a part of it, and then there's the owners of the James Bond franchise itself. It's just kind of complicated, and unfortunately it never came to be. So yeah, basically, if you want to play GoldenEye 64 with better graphics, then GoldenEye 25 is going to be your best bet. A lot of people were worried that this project might go the same way, that one of the aforementioned companies would shut this remake down too, but as Ben puts it in his own words on Twitter, he says, "We often get comments to the effect of, you should make your game in secret so you can't get shut down, keep all info about it off the internet until the day of release. No game company can stop us because none of them have the rights to Bond games, and we make all our assets from scratch. The only people who could are the Bond movie rights holders, and they don't shut down these kinds of fan projects." And he goes on to say, granted, this one could backfire if the project gets a cease and desist, but I think that's rather unlikely, and even if it does, no one can stop us from making a game that's like GoldenEye. No matter what happens, you'll still have something to look forward to. Unfortunately, this also means the game won't come to console because it's a fan remake and you need licensing on consoles. But there you go guys, that's all the info I have on the remake so far. I thoroughly encourage you to go and sub to Ben on YouTube and follow him on Twitter to support the project if you are interested in it, and of course drop a like down on the video below if you enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe for more upcoming content because I will definitely be following this game and will make subsequent videos as more information comes out. Thanks for watching guys, take care, and I'll see you next time.